GW just released a stealth FAQ where they cover some of the burning questions that we all have about 11th edition. Let's get into it.
Why aren't we killing it?
The 2026 Tacoma Open is about to take place in Washington from July 17th to 19th. This is an official GW event, and here is the rules, updates, and FAQs that they've released for this event. And the information herein was developed by the Warhammer 40,000 rules and events team. So this is directly developed by the rules and event team for Warhammer. Official GW document, guys. So while this is only for the Tacoma Open, I think we can assume that this is all coming directly towards us very soon. It does also say independent organizers may choose to use this document in support of answering attendee questions at their own events. This is effectively their test run for an FAQ, I think. So it's better that I think we just use these until they also officially release an FAQ, because some of these, like the very first one, just make sense. Excluding core CP, each player can gain a maximum of 1 CP per battle round. This includes the CP gained when a player discards an active secondary card. Oh, crazy stuff, guys. They've reintroduced the CP cap. Who would have thought? So, in summary, while this is only for the Warhammer Tacoma Open, it's still an official GW document, and independent organizers have the option to use this for their events, which I think they all should, as it answers some of the burning questions we are all having right now about 11th edition. Let's get into some of the most important ones that I've found and how this will affect your games. So obviously, now you can't have something like a Swarm Lord or Azrael generating UCP, and then you also toss one at the end. Or for example, in the Brozest list that I recently developed, you can't have the Slaughterbound generate you 3 in one go. Obviously, for things like Heroic Intervention, which has now a 2 CP option, things like Raveners, which can heroically intervene for free, now only do it at a reduced cost rate. The 1 normal move per phase is back, thankfully. Don't have to think about that one anymore. Grenade stratagem is the explosive stratagem. I think we already knew that. Same as Tank Shock being the crushing impact stratagem. Effects that cause desperate escape tests. This one's actually kind of interesting. I think we all just assumed, yep, they have to take a hazard roll. That's now official in writing, but in addition, that unit must also take battle shock rolls. So that's actually really good. So if you've got ways to make your opponent take a desperate escape test, you could also potentially be making them battle shocked. So they've fixed dedicated transport now, guys. So a friendly unit must be embarked with a friendly dedicated transport model at the end of this step. Each friendly dedicated transport model without an embarked unit is destroyed. So we are back to not being able to run just solo rhinos, doing whatever they damn well please. They have changed after moving the objective consolidate, guys. This one is a sad one. Objective consolidation, your unit must be unengaged and within range of a selected objective. What does this mean? Well, typically it was you would select what type of consolidation move you wanted to make, and if you wanted to be able to tag your opponent, you would have had to be within 3 inches of them. A way of getting around this was to select an objective marker near you, meet the requirements for moving towards that objective marker, but also you could end your move within engagement range. It was a pseudo way of getting around the fact that you weren't actually within 3 inches, so they've now fixed that. Effects that revive destroyed character models, e.g. Protocol of the Eternal Revenant, Divine Intervention, Post-Mortality. Change the text regarding to destroyed models to play in the following. Set up the destroyed model on the battlefield, unengaged and as close as possible to where it was destroyed. That model is not part of the attached unit and that unit's starting strength. This means, for example, for World Eaters, if you precision out Khan the Betrayer, he will die and stand back up, no longer attached to his Khorne Berserkers. This is not the worst, as Khan will still benefit from his reroll once to hit and once to wound, but the Khorne Berserkers will no longer benefit from that ability, unfortunately. More importantly, this affects Necron players. If someone comes in and one taps your entire Necron warrior unit, you can no longer use your stratagem to stand Orokin the Diviner back up and start reanimating warriors from him, as he is at a starting strength of 1 and not attached to any unit. Healing and or regaining lost wounds. It's all the same. It's healing as it healing, but you cannot use that healing to bring back destroyed character models. This is super important, guys, because what would happen is you'd go in, you'd kill the character leading a Necron warrior unit and a few others in Awakened Dynasty, and they would reanimate the unit and bring back the character immediately, keeping, for example, their 4-up invulnerable save on the whole unit. So super awesome. You can no longer heal character models. They have re-allowed Thulia Gould, Belisarius Cole, Lionel Johnson, Fulgrim. Guys, that's right. Fulgrim now has the mobile keyword. Inbuilt, can just move through walls. You EC players are eating well. That is ridiculous. Rabuna Gilliman and the Red Terror all have the mobile keyword. So Fulgrim can now just walk through walls, guys. Happy days for you EC players. You don't even need that detachment to let him do it anymore. Who cares? You can just do it for free. They've added the frame keyword to a bunch of vehicles. And most importantly, they've removed the frame keyword from the Shield Captain on Dawn Needle Jetbike and Virtus Praetors. If you guys have been playing against this bike spam in Custodes, they were using the big sword, the big tip of their spear to touch into terrain pieces. And because they had the frame keyword, every part of that model was considered part of the frame, and they could draw a line of sight from being within terrain that they were actually nowhere near. So thankfully they've removed the frame keyword from those, and it's much less oppressive. They've confirmed that cover is model by model in the targeting unit. So if you've got 2 models in your unit and one of them can fully see one of your enemy, that model is not affected by the ballistic skill modifier for cover. But if the second model cannot wholly see one of the models, then it is affected by the ballistic skill. So in 10th edition, for a simple way of thinking about it, the defensive unit cover was decided on a model by model basis. No longer. In 11th, the aggressive unit, the one making the attacks, has cover decided on them by a model by model basis. Important to note, guys, when a flying unit takes to the skies, you must declare if you're going to the skies before you make any kind of move. So when you select it to make the move, you have to say, okay, I'm selecting my unit to make an advance move and I'm taking to the skies. Therefore, you're going to have that -2 restriction on your movement before you see the result of your advance move. This is the same as charge move. So that means the unit must decide to take to the skies before rolling for the advance or charge move. Note that if you do decide to take to the skies, that's actually going to reduce the maximum distance of your charge move by 2, preventing you from selecting units that are further away. So for example, if you roll, let's say for a flying unit, if you roll a 9, that maximum distance is now a 7, minus the 2 from taking to the skies. And you can only therefore select units that are within 7. So not only will it affect how far you can move, but it also will affect who you can select as your targets. They've made some confirmations that upgrades are a type of enhancement. So therefore a unit cannot have an upgrade and an enhancement. So for example, Arch Slaughterer for World Eaters was an enhancement that you could put on the Master of Executions, but you can't also give him an upgrade, or vice versa. It was an upgrade you could give to the Master of Executions, but you can't also give him an enhancement. So you can't have Arch and Glaive, for example. An attached unit can be given an upgrade. So I think this means if Mo has got an upgrade and the Khorne Berserkers have got an upgrade, they can be attached. In addition, an epic hero unit can form an attached unit with a unit that has an upgrade. Orcs are eating well. That's very good for the Orc players, as Gaz wants to be in those upgraded Orc Boys units. They've confirmed that if you uppy downy in the first battle round, you cannot land back in the first battle round unless your rule specifically says it can. So I'm thinking the Caledius Assassin uses her ability to go into strategic reserves. That ability also says she must return to the battlefield in the controlling player's next movement phase. So even if it's the first battle round, if it allows you to do it straight away, you can do it straight away. They've confirmed how Miracle Dice now work for Sisters of Players battles. You now have to substitute your dice before making any other roll. So for example, Faith when making hit rolls, where they can substitute a dice from any given group of attacks before making the roll. Wound roll the same, damage roll the same, and more importantly, for making save rolls, they can substitute a dice for any given group of wounding attacks before making the roll. So in 10th, players will often say, I'm holding one dice aside. They would roll all their saves, and if they made enough to auto pass this one to keep the unit alive, they would then sub that one in and say, I have made all my saves. Not so much in 11th, sorry. You have to say, I'm going to use this dice now, say it's a 6, and I'm going to roll the rest of my dice. So Acts of Faith, guys, it's slightly nerfed. You have to do it before you make your roll. Note, guys, that VP scoring at the end of the battle is not affected by the cap on battle round. So you can get a 15 score on battle round, and then is the end of the battle timing the same as the 5th battle round? No. VP scored at the end of the battle are not subject to the 15 victory point battle round scoring limit. So you can score up to, for example, 25 primary points at the very end of the game using that ability, if your primary mission allows for end of game scoring. A nice little quality of life thing here is units have all keywords of their models, but only if those models are alive. So if you have a destroyed model and that model, for example, is giving the Psyker keyword to the unit, in the case of Thousand Suns, if that model's dead, that unit is no longer a Psyker unit. Very similar to how it worked in 10th edition. There's some confirmation on transports, guys, and using abilities within transports. If those abilities require you to be on the battlefield, then they do not work while you are in a transport. As the transport, if you're in the transport, you're not on the battlefield. But unfortunately, for things like Khan the Betrayer, if he's attached to Khorne Berserkers, the Khan the Betrayer's ability will activate, as it is not requirement for Khan to be on the battlefield. So therefore, he could potentially be killing off his own boys inside the party bus. It's no longer a party bus, let's say that much for free. All right, for all of you who have seen my overrun video, no overrun on the fight on death, they have confirmed it. Unfortunately, I was hoping they would see that video and say this is stupid and they would fix it, but instead they have doubled down. Fight on death requires models awaiting such an ability to stay on the battlefield until their unit has attacked or into the face. How do these models function while in this case? Models awaiting a fight on death ability are still present on the battlefield for all rules purposes. This includes, but not limited to, the following regarding such models. They can be measured to by friendly and enemy abilities. They can be considered visible to friendly enemy models where relevant. They can use their datasheet abilities. They can be targeted by stratagems. Enemy units can still be engaged with them, which may restrict the opposing player's consolidation or pile-in moves made as part of an overrun fight. Yes, they have confirmed fight on death prevents overrun. The tech is real. If you haven't seen my video on how that exactly works, make sure you go and check it out, because you do not want to be blindsided by someone who has access to auto fight on death. It can really screw you over. We've got our last two here, guys. The secondary mission plunder reference, one unit within your terrain area that is not within your territory. This is not relevant to where your unit is. So the unit performing plunder can be within your territory, but the terrain area they are plundering itself cannot be. The terrain area they are doing the action in itself has to be within your opponent's territory. Lastly, and this one's really important, if you select your unit to be a beacon, that is it. That unit is your beacon. If your opponent kills that unit, you may not reselect your beacon. That means if I say my squad of spawn that is sitting on the middle objective of my beacon and my opponent goes and kills that squad of spawn, that's it. I can never score that secondary. So if a unit I select to be my beacon unit upon drawing the beacon secondary mission is destroyed prior to achieving the mission, can I select a new beacon unit? No, which means you'll be unable to achieve this mission. We recommend discarding this for 1 CP. Fantastic. So there you have it, guys. GW just released a stealth FAQ for their Tacoma Open, but it is absolutely official GW FAQs. I suspect this will be being used in all organizing events until GW release their official FAQ, which will happen sometime after the Tacoma Open, I believe on the 22nd of July. But these rules are great quality of life. They answer a lot of the random questions. If you haven't already read it yourself, I'll link it in the description. And if you haven't seen my video on how preventing overrun by that file on death rule, I'll also link that in the description. If you guys enjoyed this content, make sure you like and subscribe. I'm going to be covering all the new rules that GW release about 11th edition. So get it hot off the press right here. And I'll see you in the next one.